Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Ree. I am a mindfulness and meditation coach, a law of attraction coach, a yoga instructor, and a Reiki master. And I am obsessed with energy work. I host monthly meditation retreats online for 4 straight days of super intense work to help you to live your best life as your highest self. And I have tons of guided meditation downloads for sale on my website. So go check that out. Link in the description below. Hello, my beautiful souls. So it's been 4 years since my initial really dramatic Kundalini awakening. Basically, I was one night, tons of spiritual energy and light moved through my body, and it was very dramatic, and I can definitely tell the whole story if you guys are interested in hearing my sudden Kundalini awakening experience. I would love to share, but it's not the purpose of this video. A lot of people will talk about the initial awakening and the different symptoms that you can feel and how the first year or so is going to go after your Kundalini awakening. A lot of people talk about the Kundalini awakening itself because it's very dramatic. It's fun to hear about. But I haven't seen or heard too much about the aftermath and what happens years later. So I figured I would just talk about what my experience has been years after my Kundalini awakening. First of all, I have had many more than just one awakening experiences. There have been, I guess the only way that I can describe it is a ton, maybe hundreds of little mini awakenings in different energy centers. I have felt, tons of activation in my heart center, in my throat center, and each comes with an experience that is energetic. And these are like mini awakenings. I had a block removed from my throat, and it was a very dramatic experience of almost feeling like I was giving birth through my throat, and it just cleared, and I felt it. It was extremely visceral. It was painful even. So you won't very likely have just one awakening experience. It will probably be many, many, many throughout your lifetime, especially if you're on a spiritual journey of meditation and prayer and aligning with the divine. So that's first and foremost to understand, is that it's not just one spiritual awakening experience. Although in my case, I did have one big experience and then a bunch of little ones. But in the years that have followed that big experience, many, many things have happened. What I think is important to kind of take away from this video is what Kundalini spirit awakening has done for me is it aligned me with my truth. It aligned me with the highest life that I can live based on my personal spirit, my personal truth. So what has happened is all the stuff that was not my truth, all the stuff that was not for my highest good, washed away. I lost friendships. I lost jobs. I lost people in my life who were very important to me. I lost all interest in art. I used to be an artist, so I literally dropped a career that I had spent all of my time and energy building. I lost pretty much everything in my awakening journey, and then I rebuilt. And the life that I built now, the life that I'm living now, is so much more authentic to my spirit, to what it is that I really feel is my mission, my way that I want to live my life. It's mine now. My life is mine. And if I could say that the Kundalini energy, the Kundalini awakening has brought me anything, it is that everything that was not meant for me, everything that didn't serve me and serve my highest good, has been permanently removed from my life. And now here I am, pure and I'm unafraid of whatever else has to go. So anything that needs to leave my life, I welcome the release. And that's been huge too, to live with that sort of acceptance and grace that life isn't permanent and nothing in my life is permanent. And there's much more of a flow. And also, I'm much more, since the awakening, I'm much more easygoing for sure. But that did not come without processing some heavy-duty emotions. I went through periods of depression and periods of extreme anger and really having to kind of deal with all of that stuff coming up because it was being purified by this spirit energy and it needed to be released. And in order to be released, it had to come through me. So there were bouts of anger, there were bouts of extreme sadness and depression. But now, having gotten past that, I feel my feelings fully. The experience of my feelings now is completely different. I don't shove anything down. I feel something and I fully feel it. It gets fully expressed. I'm not afraid to cry. I feel life, all of it, the good, the bad, everything. Also, I do have a greater sensitivity to people's emotions, even to people's thoughts. I can kind of tell what they're thinking. I can feel into what they're thinking. I also have a greater understanding of what oneness really means and how I am not special. There's this strange feeling of not being special, of almost being nobody. Like I am just an empty vessel. This body is just an empty vessel filled with spirit, and I'm willing to allow spirit to guide me. So it's a very interesting feeling of letting go and surrendering to divine will, allowing myself to be carried and trusting that. So I live in that spiritual flow, and nothing really feels all that scary to me anymore, including, and I would love to hear other people's experiences with this, including death. Death, I used to feel, I didn't really think about it that much, but when I did, I was scared. And I used to feel that a little bit terrified that it would just be this big, empty void of nothingness, and I would never be conscious or experience anything ever again. And now, even that, I'm like, well, then that's what it is. If that's what's going to happen, then that's what's going to happen. And there is no fear. I don't feel afraid of death. I don't feel afraid of taking a chance. I don't feel embarrassed ever anymore, or shame or guilt. There's this crazy thing that happened around guilt that now things that previously used to cripple me with guilt, I don't feel it anymore. I move on right away, and I try to, I'm not a jerk. I don't hurt people on purpose. And if I do hurt somebody, then I do whatever I can to make it right. But it doesn't come with any guilt or shame anymore. Those feelings just simply are not there. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful to live with that kind of purity. I'm also extremely chill. It's been years and years and years of meditation. And honestly, it was about 20 years, I've been meditating pretty much daily since I was like 9 years old, and I'm 42 now. So from 9 until 4 years ago, I can't do math. What's that, 38 years? No, I don't know. Something like that. 30 years, 29 years or something. I was meditating all the time. And it took me that long to get to a point where I had a huge energy release and a huge amount of energy moved through me. And it was this big dramatic firework Kundalini opening experience. And in the years since, I've still been meditating every single day. So for me to say that I'm peaceful and very kind of go with the flow 90% of the time, it isn't because I'm some spectacular human. It's because I've put in a Herculean effort to get where I am with meditation, with prayer, with spiritual connection. I've done the work. So that's important to note too, that it's not, at least in my experience, it's not like I had the Kundalini awakening and the work is done. It's almost like I had the Kundalini awakening and now finally the work can begin. That's more what has happened in my experience. And another wonderful, wonderful thing that has really unfolded very clearly and very definitely throughout this Kundalini awakening experience is I am living my purpose now. And it feels so clear and so good and so intentional. I can just charge forward with that. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to question it anymore. I just know very clearly exactly what I am here for on earth, but also what my purpose is for the day. I can feel into that. Some days I'm like, my purpose today is to work on these projects from the minute I get up until I go to sleep. And sometimes my purpose is to hang out with my kids and just watch movies all day because it's raining and we want to cuddle. I'm guided. I'm very guided step by step, and it's so clear, and I trust it, which is important because we all receive guidance. And honestly, it all wants to be clear to us. Sometimes we muddy it up with our own thinking and our own doubts and insecurities. We all receive guidance though, and a lot of times the only problem is not receiving the guidance, it's listening to the guidance that we do receive, because it's not big and bright and loud like a big sign. 90% of the time, it's subtle. And the Kundalini awakening, the spirit energy that moves through me much more freely now, helps me to be very sensitive to that energy. And I guess that would be the other thing that I would talk about that has shifted because of this awakening. I have always been a super sensitive person, so it's not like I was insensitive before and now I'm sensitive, but I am sensitive in a whole different way. I am super sensitive, uber sensitive. Like even my fingertips and my skin, I can feel everything. You know the story of the princess and the pea? I'm the princess, and it's great. It's beautiful. And I'm not saying this because I'm special. I'm actually going to do a whole video about why a spiritual or Kundalini awakening isn't personal, and it certainly doesn't make you special. It's a universal thing that unites you with everyone, but we'll get there in the next video. I feel everything energetically, emotionally. I can feel things that I never felt before. And the difference between me as a sensitive being now, as the super hypersensitive, beautifully, beautifully super sensitive person that I am now, and the sensitive person that I was before, I wanted to get rid of it before. I wanted to fix my sensitivity. I wanted to overcome it. I wanted to get a thicker skin. Now, I don't want that. I actually would be okay if I became more and more and more sensitive. The sensitivity now, I see it as a gift rather than any kind of problem. And I think the big difference has been I don't take things personally anymore. I have sort of realized through this process of awakening that nothing is personal. And I don't need to take on anybody else's problems. I don't even need to take on my problems. There's a divine consciousness that can be in charge of all of that. I don't need to judge anybody. I don't need to feel bad or try and fix anything. I can just feel what I'm feeling and then release it. So the sensitivity has been such an incredible gift. It's allowed me to connect deeply with people, with plants, even with animals. It's allowed me to live a more full life, and I appreciate my sensitivity now in a way that I haven't ever before. There are just so many things that have happened since this Kundalini awakening that it's hard to even talk about all of them. But the last one that I'll talk about is perhaps the most important thing, the most life-changing thing that has happened to me is I love myself, and it's genuine. It's real. I am on my own team. And it's not that I'm on my own team against anyone else. It's just that I don't abandon myself anymore. I didn't even realize that I was abandoning myself all the time before. I was always sort of thinking that everything was my fault. And I was thinking of all these ways that I could fix myself. There's something wrong and something needs to be fixed clearly because this person doesn't agree with me. I need to change my point of view. It was all about how I could become somebody else. And now there's such a love and respect for myself. If I could be best friends with someone, it would be me. I feel like I am my best friend. I am my best confidant. I'm my best everything. And I enjoy my own company in a way that I never have before. There's a love there that's unconditional and an acceptance that's unconditional that I think is going to be with me for the rest of my life. And it changes the whole game. The whole game. And there's nothing that could happen that would make me love me any less. So that's been beautiful. I have so much more that happened since this awakening, but I don't even really know what else to say. I feel like those are the big ones. Out-of-body experiences, psychic visions, I'm much better at tarot reading now. Kundalini Awakening has changed my life for the better in every single way, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I will continue on this journey, and I will continue my super intense meditative practices, my online super intense retreats that help me to also raise this energy just as much as they help anyone else. I'll continue all of these practices because that's how much it has given me, and it's worth every single minute of my time, every single bit of energy that I have ever spent. So I can't say enough good things about raising this energy. If you choose to go on this path, know that once you get past the mucky stage of, purifying and cleansing all of the crap out of your body, out of your life, all that comes after that is just better and more beautiful and more authentic for you, and you will love this journey. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.